Stop. Before you throw away that yellowing tomato plant with leaves drooping like they're giving up, before you dump it in the trash and tell yourself there was nothing you could do, just look at your kitchen trash can for 1 second. Your trash can has everything you need. Onion peels from last night's dinner, banana skins, coffee grounds you were about to throw away, old rice water. That's it. That's literally all you need to bring that plant back to life. Not some complicated formula, not some expensive product you have to order online, not something you need to be a gardener to figure out, just stuff from your kitchen that takes 5 minutes to set up. I'm going to show you 4 recipes. 4. That's all. Each one uses garbage you're already throwing away. No special equipment, no mystery ingredients. You probably already have everything at home right now. And here's the thing, these actually work. Because they're not just homestead vibes or TikTok trends. They're based on real research, real numbers, real ratios that tell you exactly how much, exactly how to dilute it, exactly when to use it. The stuff YouTube videos never tell you. In the next 28 minutes, I'll show you all 4 free recipes. Then, if you want, there's one bonus professional method. But you won't need it. 4 free recipes will completely save your plant. Okay, let me be real with you for a second. Most gardening videos give you vague instructions. A handful of this. Dilute reasonably. Apply when needed. But you don't know what a handful is. You don't know if reasonably means 1 to 10 or 1 to 50. You don't know if weekly or daily. That's why people fail. This video is different. Everything here comes with exact numbers, exact dilution, exact timing. That's the difference between killing plants and saving them. Here's what you're getting in the next 28 minutes. 4 completely free recipes. 0 cost. Everything is already in your kitchen. These 4 alone will save your dying plant. That's the promise. Then there's a bonus 5th method. This one combines what you learned with one inexpensive product. Commercial farms use it because it works. But it's optional. Most people are satisfied with the 4 free recipes. Some want to optimize further. That's the bonus. I'm telling you this now so you know exactly what to expect. No surprises. Now let's look at the 3 mistakes that kill most home gardens. Before you start mixing anything, you need to know 3 mistakes that will completely sabotage you. These are not small details. Get these wrong, and nothing else matters. Mistake number 1. Using tap water straight from your faucet. Your city adds chlorine or chloramine to your water to kill bacteria so it's safe to drink. That's good for you. That's bad for fermentation. Chlorine evaporates in 24 to 48 hours if you leave water sitting open in sunlight. But chloramine doesn't evaporate that easily. It stays in the water. When you use chlorinated water to make fermented recipes, the chlorine kills all the good bacteria you're trying to grow. You end up with brown water and nothing else. No beneficial bacteria, no growth hormone, no benefits, completely wasted ingredients and time. Safe approach is simple. Use rainwater if you have it. If not, let tap water sit open for 48 hours. Or filter it. Or check your local water report to see what's in it. This one decision determines whether these recipes work or fail. Mistake number 2. Using full-strength recipes on seedlings. This is the #1 killer of young plants. Seedlings are salt-sensitive. Full-strength liquid creates what's called salt burn. The salts pull water out of the young plant cells instead of letting water move in. The seedling wilts and dies even if you're watering it perfectly. You did everything right, but the seedling is dead anyway. The rule is 1 to 100 dilution for seeds and young seedlings. 1 part recipe to 100 parts water. Not 1 to 50, not 1 to 10, 1 to 100. This sounds weak. It is weak. That's exactly what young plants need. Dilute more than you think is right. More than makes sense. That's correct. Mistake number 3. Ignoring soil pH. You can have the most perfect recipe in the world. Perfect ingredients, perfect ratio, perfect timing. But if your soil is too acidic or too alkaline, nutrients get locked up. The plant can't absorb anything. It's like having food in front of you that you can't eat. Before you apply any of these recipes, test your soil pH. Get a soil pH kit. $15 at any garden center. Takes 10 minutes. Non-negotiable. If your soil pH is very wrong, you need to fix that first before these recipes can work properly. One more safety note. Do not apply these recipes to edible crops closer than 90 days before harvest. Follow your local extension guidelines for food safety. These are traditional methods that happen to work, but they're not sterile. Respect the timing. Recipe 1. Onion Peel Tea. The first recipe is the easiest. Onion peel tea. Onions are in 90% of home kitchens. You're already throwing away the peels. This recipe takes literally 5 minutes to set up, and it works within days. Fast results. Minimal effort. But there's one critical detail most people miss that makes the difference between this working and this failing. I'll show you at the end of this section. Here's why this recipe works. Onion peels contain potassium, calcium, and quercetin. Quercetin is an antioxidant that helps stressed plants recover faster. When you soak the peels in water, these compounds dissolve into the water. You're creating a liquid fertilizer that's completely free because you're using trash. It's ready in 1 to 2 days, fastest of all the recipes. It's gentle enough for struggling plants that are already stressed, but it's strong enough to actually boost growth. Commercially, companies sell onion extract supplements. This is the DIY version you make at home. Same thing. Zero cost. Now here's exactly how to make it. You need 1 cup of onion peels, roughly packed. Doesn't matter if they're yellow or red. 1 quart of water, dechlorinated water. Remember from the safety section. And optional, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar to feed any bacteria. Steps are simple. Chop the onion peels roughly into 1-inch pieces. Put them in a jar or container. Cover with water. Cover loosely with a lid or cloth. Air should circulate. Don't seal it tight. Leave it on the counter out of direct sunlight. After 12 hours, the liquid starts changing color. After 24 hours, it's ready to use. Light brown color. After 48 hours, maximum potency. Darker brown. That's the timeline. Now for dilution. This is important because dilution determines whether you boost the plant or burn it. For stressed plants that are really struggling, 1 to 5 dilution. That's strong. For general boost to a healthy plant, 1 to 10 dilution. Medium strength. For sensitive plants or young seedlings, 1 to 20 dilution. Weak. Adjust based on what the plant needs. Application is simple. Water at soil level. Don't spray on leaves. Every 7 to 10 days during growing season. Stop 3 weeks before harvest for edible crops. Here's a pro tip. If your water is very hard, lots of mineral deposits, the tea might look cloudy. That's fine. It still works. If it smells like rotten onions, that's a sign it's been sitting too long. Use it after 48 hours maximum. Don't let it go past that. Now, the critical detail I mentioned at the beginning. Many people toss the peels, but don't actually measure their water. Then they wonder why dilution ratios don't work. Then they think the recipe doesn't work. But the recipe is fine. They just didn't measure. 1 cup of peels to 1 quart of water. That's the foundation. Everything else scales from there. If you use 2 cups of peels, use 2 quarts of water. 3 cups, 3 quarts. Keep the ratio consistent and the recipe works. Onion tea works fast. You'll see plant color improve in 5 to 7 days. But here's the thing. It's one-time nutrition. You apply it, the plant gets a boost, but it doesn't last. For sustained growth over weeks and months, you need something that feeds the soil itself. That's recipe 2. Fermented kitchen water. This one takes longer to make, but the results last for months. That's the next one. Recipe 2. Fermented kitchen water. This is the recipe with the strongest science backing. Researchers measured this exactly. Plant growth hormone called IAA. 1.13 to 59.53 milligrams per liter. Beneficial bacteria. Billions per milliliter. You're not just making fertilizer. You're creating a living probiotic that builds soil biology for the long term. This one recipe changes everything because the results last for months, not days. Here's how it works. When you soak kitchen scraps in water for several days, natural bacteria multiply in that water. Those bacteria eat the organic matter and produce compounds that help plant roots grow faster. The main compound is called IAA, or indole 3 acetic acid. This is the exact same hormone plants naturally make themselves, but your fermented water concentrates it. High levels. Much more than plants can make on their own. The bacteria themselves are also valuable. They create a relationship with plant roots called mycorrhizal association. Your plant absorbs nutrients better because the bacteria are there. They help the plant pull nutrition from the soil. This is why the same fertilizer works better if there's active bacteria in it versus just nutrient powder. Now here's the exact recipe. You need 5 liters, or 1.3 gallons. Kitchen scraps, 2.2 pounds, chopped small. Options are onion peels, banana peels, mixed vegetable trimmings, dechlorinated water, 5 liters. This is critical, remember from earlier. Brown sugar, 100 grams or 3.5 ounces, to feed the bacteria. Container is a 5-gallon food-grade bucket, lid loosely fitted, not airtight. Fermentation process is simple, but you have to do it right. Days 1 through 3. Stir every single day for the first 7 days. This adds oxygen, speeds fermentation, reduces smell. At this point, it will smell slightly sweet, then slightly sour. Days 5 through 7, the smell gets stronger, like kombucha or sourdough. This is normal. This means fermentation is working. When it smells sour and vinegary, it's ready. Timeline. Quick version takes 5 to 7 days for home use. Maximum potency version takes 30 days for maximum hormone content. Choose based on how fast you need results. Critical rule. Do not seal the bucket tight. Loosely fitted lid only. Too much oxygen creates anaerobic fermentation. Terrible smell. Useless product. No oxygen at all also creates anaerobic fermentation. Same problem. Loose lid is correct. Now for dilution. This is the most important part because wrong dilution kills plants. For seeds and germination, 1 to 100 dilution, 1 part ferment to 100 parts water, once per week maximum. Seedlings are fragile and salt sensitive. For young seedlings with 2 to 4 leaves, 1 to 100 dilution, every 7 to 10 days, still developing root system. For established seedlings with 6 or more leaves, 1 to 50 dilution, every 7 days. Ready for stronger nutrition. For leafy greens like lettuce and spinach, 1 to 10 dilution, every 7 to 10 days. Fast growing, nitrogen hungry. For fruiting plants like tomato and pepper, 1 to 15 dilution. Slightly weaker than leafy greens. Every 10 days. Too much nitrogen makes leaves, but not fruit. For flowering plants like roses and ornamentals, 1 to 10 dilution, every 10 to 14 days. Supports bloom cycle. For foliar spray, spraying directly on leaves, 1 to 200 dilution, once weekly. Prevents leaf burn from salt. Critical rule again. When in doubt, dilute more, not less. You can always make it stronger, next batch. You cannot unburn a plant. A burned plant is dead. So err on the side of weak. Here's something important I need to tell you. I made fermented water perfectly for 2 years. Right ingredients, right timing, perfect ratio, everything correct. But I made it with tap water straight from the faucet. The chlorine killed all the beneficial bacteria. I ended up with brown water and nothing else. No root growth hormone, no bacteria, no benefits. I applied it to my plants and got 0 results. For 2 years, I thought the recipe didn't work. Then I learned that chlorine kills bacteria and realized my mistake. Don't be me. Use rainwater if you have it. If not, dechlorinated water. This one decision determines whether this recipe works or fails completely. Fermented water gives you liquid nutrition that works through roots. Fast absorption. Visible results in days. But here's the thing. What if your tomato is showing blossom end rot? That's dark spots on the bottom of the fruit. That's a calcium deficiency, not general nutrition. Onion tea and fermented water won't fix that. You need recipe 3. Recipe 3. Eggshell plus banana peel. This recipe is the simplest but most misunderstood. 90% of people just crush an eggshell roughly and throw it in dirt. Then they wait, and wait, and wait. Result? 0 benefit for 8 years. 8 years. Because they didn't understand how calcium works. This recipe fixes that problem in weeks instead of years. Here's the science. Eggshells are calcium carbonate. This is not very soluble. For your plant to actually use calcium, one of 2 things must happen. 1. Create massive surface area by grinding to powder fine. Soil microbes can then break it down faster. 2. Use acid to dissolve it, like vinegar. If you just crush roughly and toss in soil, it takes 6 to 8 years for microbes to break it down enough for plant roots to absorb it. That's the difference. Most people do it the slow way without realizing it. Banana peels contain high potassium. High potassium drives flower production and fruit quality. Better blooms, sweeter fruit. These 2 together solve 2 different problems. calcium deficiency, and nutrient boost. Now here's Method A. The fine powder method. Long-term, costs 0. Step 1. Sterilize. Bake eggshells in a 250-degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes, or microwave on high for 10 seconds. Purpose is to eliminate any salmonella bacteria. This is important if you're using the powder on edible crops. Step 2. Grind to powder. Use a coffee grinder or mortar and pestle. Must be as fine as flour, not chunks. The finer, the faster it works. Take time to get it powder fine. Step 3. Application. 1 tablespoon of powder per tomato plant per month. Mix into soil at plant base. Water immediately after. Do not sprinkle on dry soil. It needs water to activate. Timeline. Weeks 1 through 3, no visible change. Weeks 4 through 8, roots absorb and use calcium. Weeks 8 and beyond, visible improvement in fruit strength. Fruit is firmer, less cracking. Plants that need this most. Tomatoes, prevents blossom end rot. Peppers, squash, cabbage family. Any plant that produces fruit or sets seeds. But what if your tomato is already showing blossom end rot right now? Dark spots on the bottom of the fruit. You need calcium now, not in 8 years. That's Method B. Method B is vinegar extraction. Fast, for active blossom end rot. Ingredients. Crushed eggshells, coarse, 100 grams, about 8 to 10 shells. White vinegar, 5% acidity, 500 milliliters or 16 ounces. Glass jar with loose lid. Cool location, not sunlight. Process is simple. Put crushed shells in jar. Pour vinegar over them. Loosely cap the lid. Let sit for 2 weeks. When bubbling stops, it's done. The vinegar dissolves the calcium carbonate into bioavailable calcium your plants can use immediately. Dilution. Mix 1 to 50 with water before applying to soil. Apply around plant base, not on leaves. Don't spray it. Timeline. Bioavailable calcium absorbed within 2 to 3 days. Visible improvement in 1 to 2 weeks. New fruit setting should be normal quality. No more blossom end rot on new fruit. Now for banana peel tea. Ingredients. Peels from 3 to 4 bananas, chopped small. 1 gallon of water. Container. Process. Soak peels in water for 48 to 72 hours. Strain out peels. Dilute 1 to 5 with water. Application. Use when plants are flowering. Use when fruit is setting. Frequency every 10 days during bloom and fruit phase. High potassium supports flower production and fruit sweetness. Use at the right time equals better quality fruit. Here's a detail most gardeners don't know. Eggshell powder is also excellent grit for earthworm bins. Earthworms have no teeth. They need sand or grit to grind food in their gizzard. Eggshell powder does this and provides calcium at the same time. Result: worms digest better, reproduce faster, your soil gets richer faster. This is the kind of detail that separates informed gardeners from people just following random advice. So far, you have recipes that add nutrients to soil. But what if your soil itself is the problem? What if it's too acidic and nutrients are getting locked up even though they're there? Recipe 4 handles that. It's the long-term foundation that fixes the soil itself. Recipe 4. Aged compost. Manure tea. The fourth and final free recipe is the foundation of everything. Aged compost or aged manure tea. This is your long-term soil investment. It doesn't give you quick results like onion tea. You won't see plant color change in 5 days, but it builds soil that gets richer every single year. And unlike the other recipes, this one almost can't go wrong. It's very forgiving. Here's what happens when you compost. Microorganisms eat organic matter and create humus. Humus is dark, crumbly, rich organic matter. This humus improves soil structure. It helps soil retain water, so you don't have to water as often. It feeds earthworms and beneficial bacteria for years. When you make compost tea, you're extracting the nutrients and biology from that humus into liquid form you can apply to stressed plants. The result is soil that literally gets better every year. That's the power of this recipe. Now here's how to make compost. The critical ratio is 3 parts, brown materials to 1 part green materials. Green materials are nitrogen-rich. Vegetable scraps from your kitchen. Peels, trimmings. Spent coffee grounds. Yes, they're nitrogen-rich, even though they're brown in color. Crushed eggshells. Fresh grass clippings. Brown materials are carbon-rich. Dry leaves. Shredded newspaper or cardboard. Wood chips. Sawdust from untreated wood. Avoid meat, fish, dairy. These attract pests and cause odor problems. Greasy or oily food. Too many citrus peels. They acidify the pile. Pet waste. Diseased plant material. How to build it. Use a bin or pile with air holes. Air is critical. Layer brown and green in 3:1 ratio. Brown, green, brown, green. Keep it like a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping. If water drips out when you squeeze it, it's too wet. Turn every 4 to 7 days to add oxygen. Turning is important. Timeline: summer heat, 8 to 12 weeks. Cooler climates, 4 to 6 months. When finished, it's dark and crumbly and smells like forest floor. That's when you know it's ready. Once you have finished compost, you can make tea from it. Ingredients: finished compost, 2 cups, water, 5 liters, dechlorinated, remember from earlier, container with loose lid, brown sugar, optional, 50 grams to feed bacteria. Process: put compost in bucket, cover with water, loosely cap lid, stir daily for 5 to 7 days, strain out solids, use the liquid. Application: dilute 1 to 10 with water. Apply to soil around plants. Frequency every 10 to 14 days during growing season. Timeline to results: immediately, soil biology improves. Weeks 1 through 4, plant vigor increases. Months 2 and 3, visible improvement in growth. Year 1 and beyond, soil structure improves permanently. This is why this recipe is the foundation. If you don't have finished compost yet, you can use aged animal manure instead. Critical rule: must be aged minimum 6 months. Never use fresh manure. Fresh manure is too strong and can burn plants. Sources: aged chicken manure, small amounts, very strong. Use sparingly. Aged cow manure, moderate strength. Aged rabbit manure, mild, good for seedlings. Horse manure from pasture, moderate strength. Process: put aged manure in porous sack. Submerge in 5-gallon bucket of water. Steep for 3 to 5 days. Remove sack. Dilute 1 to 10 before using. Application is same as compost tea. Every 10 to 14 days during growing season. Here's something important to understand. This recipe is the only one of the 4 that doesn't show quick results. You won't see your plant perk up in days, but it's also the only one that creates permanent soil improvement. The other 3 recipes feed your plant. This one feeds your soil. Everything you do with recipes 1 through 3 is more effective if your soil is rich and alive. Recipe 4 builds that rich soil. If you had to pick just one recipe to do consistently, pick this one. Skip the others if you have to, but do this one. Because rich soil solves problems before they start. Rich soil holds water. Rich soil retains nutrients. Rich soil grows better plants. This is the foundation. Plant-specific guide. You have 4 recipes. Now, which one does your plant need? Let me match them up for you based on what works in real gardens. For tomato and pepper, primary is recipe 3, eggshell powder to prevent blossom end rot. Secondary is recipe 2, fermented water for general growth. Tertiary is recipe 1 for quick boost if the plant is stressed. This combination covers the main problems tomatoes face. For lettuce, spinach, leafy greens, primary is recipe 2 at 1 to 10 dilution. These plants grow fast and they're nitrogen hungry. They want fed frequently. Secondary is recipe 4, compost as base layer. Note that recipe 3 is not needed for leafy greens, since they don't need calcium the way fruiting plants do. For roses and ornamental flowers, primary is recipe 2 to support bloom cycle. Secondary is recipe 3 banana peel tea for potassium, which improves flower quality and color intensity. Tertiary is recipe 4 for soil foundation. Flowers need consistent nutrition. For blueberries and acid-loving plants like rhododendrons and azaleas, primary is recipe 4, compost only. Avoid all other recipes because they might raise pH. Acid-loving plants need pH below 6.0. They're picky about soil chemistry. For beans and peas, which are nitrogen-fixing plants, primary is recipe 2 for general nutrition. Secondary is recipe 3 for calcium to strengthen pod development. Note that don't over-nitrogen or the plant focuses on leaves and forgets to make beans. Balance is important. For squash and cucurbits, primary is recipe 3, eggshell for structure and fruit quality. Secondary is recipe 2 for growth. Frequency is every 10 days during vine growth. Squash are heavy feeders. For fruit trees like apple, pear, peach, citrus, primary is recipe 4, compost layer, applied annually. Secondary is recipe 2, during spring growth phase when new growth is happening. Tertiary is recipe 3 for calcium. Timeline is slower with trees. They need consistent care over years, not weeks. Think long-term with trees. For houseplants indoors, primary is recipe 2 diluted 1:100. Very weak because light indoors is less than outdoors, so plants grow slower and need less nutrition. Secondary is recipe 4 as soil-based mix when you first pot the plant, not as tea. Avoid recipe 3 because eggshells in container soil can make it too alkaline over time. For struggling plants or newly transplanted plants, primary is recipe 1 for quick boost, gentle on stressed roots. Secondary is recipe 2 at 1 to 50 dilution, moderate strength, frequency every 5 to 7 days until recovery. Don't flood them with strong nutrition. Now think of this like building a house. Foundation is long-term. Recipe 4, compost. Bake into soil 1 to 2 times per year. Improve structure for years. This is the base everything else sits on. The soil itself. Walls are active growth. Recipe 2, fermented water. Every 7 to 14 days during growing season. Sustained nutrition window. This is what keeps the plant healthy day to day. Finishing touches are targeted fixes. Recipes 1 and 3. When the plant needs quick boost, use recipe 1. When the plant needs specific nutrient like calcium, use recipe 3. Emergency or optimization only. Every plant needs foundation. Rich soil is the base. Not every plant needs the others. Some plants are fine with just foundation plus water. Some want more. Read your plant. The matching guide above shows what each plant typically wants. Use it as reference. Come back to it whenever you're not sure what to do next. Troubleshooting. You applied the recipes and something went wrong. Here are the 6 most common problems and exactly how to fix them. Problem 1. Yellow leaves 2 weeks after starting. You might think it's nitrogen deficiency. It might not be. Could be magnesium deficiency instead. The symptom is yellowing between the veins, while the veins stay green. That's magnesium. Nitrogen deficiency looks different. Dissolve 1 tablespoon Epsom salt in 1 gallon of water. Apply to root zone. Results in 3 to 5 days. That's it. Problem 2. Brown or burned leaf edges. Over-application. You gave it salt burn. The recipe is too strong and the salts damage the leaves. Fix is to flush soil with plain water for 5 days straight. Just water, nothing else. Dilute everything by 50% next time. Rule is when in doubt, always dilute more. Weak is better than burned. Problem 3. Mosquitoes breeding in the bucket. Bucket lid is sealed too tight or left uncovered. Mosquitoes are laying eggs in standing water. Fix is use cheesecloth or fine mesh over the bucket. Allows airflow so bacteria stay happy. Blocks insects so they can't lay eggs. This solves the problem permanently. No more mosquitoes. Problem 4. Horrible smell from fermentation. You went anaerobic. No oxygen in the bucket. Anaerobic fermentation smells like a swamp or rotting garbage. Fix is stir daily. Add more brown sugar for energy source. Loosen the lid to allow airflow. If it's past 7 days and still smells terrible, it might be too far gone. Start a fresh batch. Don't use the bad batch. Problem 5. Tomatoes still getting blossom end rot despite using eggshell powder. You're thinking it's a calcium deficiency. It's probably not. Blossom end rot is usually a watering problem, not a nutrition problem. You have calcium. The plant is stressed from irregular water. Soil dries out, then you water heavily. Soil dries out again. The plant can't move calcium to the fruit because it's stressed. Calcium is there, but the plant can't use it. Fix is water evenly every single day, not skipping days. Consistent soil moisture, not soggy, just consistent, results in 2 to 3 weeks. New fruit setting on the plant should be normal. Problem 6. No flowers on roses or fruit on tomatoes. Plant is in growth mode, not reproduction mode. All leaves, no blooms. Too much nitrogen. High nitrogen tells the plant to make leaves, not flowers. The plant is healthy but not reproducing. Fix is stop recipe 2, which is high nitrogen fermented water, for 30 days. Switch to recipe 3 banana peel tea only. High potassium triggers blooming. Potassium says reproduce, make flowers and fruit. Results in 3 to 4 weeks. Flowers should start appearing. These 6 problems cover 90% of what home gardeners face. If you're experiencing something different, check your soil pH first. Remember the pH kit? $10, $15, takes 10 minutes. Soil pH is often the culprit when nothing else explains the problem. Nutrient deficiency, root rot, stunted growth. Check pH first before trying anything else. Okay, you now have 4 completely free recipes that work. If you're satisfied, you're done. Stop watching. These 4 recipes will save your dying plant and build soil for the long term. That's the promise, and it's complete. You're good. But some of you are thinking, what if I wanted to optimize? What if I wanted those commercial farm results? What if I wanted maximum yield? That's what this bonus section is for. This combines what you just learned from the fermented kitchen water with one inexpensive chemical product. It costs money, so it's not free $0 anymore. But research shows it works extremely well. That's why I'm showing it as a bonus option, not required. Optional. For people who want to go further, here's the science. Researchers tested this exact combination on real vegetable crops. They mixed 50% chemical fertilizer with 50% fermented kitchen water extract. The result, highest vegetable yields of all combinations tested. Gross profit margin 58.54%. Benefit cost ratio 2.41, meaning for every dollar spent, you get $2.41 back in yield. Why it works. Chemical fertilizer equals immediate fuel. Plant gets energy right away. Results visible in 3 to 5 days. Perfect for vulnerable seedling stage when the plant is competing with other plants. Fermented kitchen water equals long-term intelligence. Root growth hormone builds stronger roots that can access more nutrients. Bacteria keep nutrients in soil, prevent leaching, reduce waste. Together the plant gets fed immediately and efficiently. Fast and slow, working at the same time. Here's how to use it. You need chemical fertilizer. 10-10-10 NPK recommended. Fermented kitchen water from recipe 2. Water. That's it. For tomato per plant, 5 grams chemical fertilizer. 1 cup fermented water diluted 1 to 10. Every 2 weeks. For pepper per plant, 3 grams chemical fertilizer. 3/4 cup fermented water. Every 2 weeks. For leafy greens per square foot, 10 grams chemical fertilizer. 2 cups fermented water. Weekly. For beans and peas per plant, 2 grams chemical fertilizer. 1/2 cup fermented water. Every 3 weeks. Critical application rule. Do not skip this. Apply chemical fertilizer first, dry, mixed into soil. Water thoroughly. Wait 3 days. Then apply fermented water. Never mix them together. The salt and chemical fertilizer can damage soil bacteria if you combine before applying. Timeline to results. Week 1 to 2. Roots develop. Not visible yet. Plant stops wilting. Week 3 to 4. New leaf growth visible. Color brightens. Week 5 to 8. Flowering and fruiting begins. Month 3 to 4. Yields reach normal levels. Plant fully recovered. Now let's talk money since this isn't free. Chemical fertilizer. Bag of 10-10-10 costs about $12. You use about 30 grams for a tomato plant over a season. Cost per plant, roughly 50 cents for the season. That's maybe 50 cents per plant for 6 months of optimal growth. Compare that to premixed commercial fertilizer, $5 to $10 per plant per season. Premium organic products, $15 to $20 per plant per season. Your homemade recipes, $0. They work great, no cost. The professional method is middle ground. Slightly cheaper than commercial, better results than free recipes alone. Here's the choice. Level 1. Free, best for beginners. Use the 4 free recipes, perfectly fine. Will save your plant and build good soil. Most people are satisfied here. Level 2. Professional, best for serious gardeners. Use the 50-50 combo during peak growth season. Takes it to the next level. Better results, small cost. Level 3. Optimization. Best for food security. Use free recipes as foundation. Switch to professional method during critical stages. Transplant stress, flowering, fruiting, only when you really need it. Most home gardeners find level 1 completely satisfying. Some get excited and go to level 2. Both are valid. Neither is wrong. Choose what fits your garden and your goals. Let's recap what you have. 4 completely free recipes backed by research. Recipe 1. Onion Peel Tea. Potassium. Ready in 24 to 48 hours. Fast results. Recipe 2. Fermented Kitchen Water. Root Growth Hormone. Sustain nutrition for weeks. Recipe 3. Eggshell and Banana Peel Powder. Calcium and potassium. Targeted solution for specific problems. Recipe 4. Aged Compost or Manure Tea. Long-term soil building, the foundation that improves every year. These 4 alone will save a dying plant and improve your soil for years. No cost, no special equipment. Everything you need is in your kitchen or your yard right now. Plus, if you want to go further, the professional 50-50 combo that gives you 2.41 return on investment. Optional. For people who want to optimize, now here's what to do next. Comment below and tell me which recipe you're trying first. I'm pinning a detailed dilution chart and application timeline in the top comment for easy reference. Save it. Bookmark it. Come back to it whenever you need it. Don't memorize anything. Just reference the chart. If this video helped, subscribe. I'm doing a 60-day real-time garden transformation with before and after photos and actual yield measurements. Not hype, just data. Real plants, real results, real numbers. You've got this. Your plants are about to recover. Good luck with your garden. See you next time.